Welcome back to Good Day State Line. Today we are outside at Cronauer Law. I love this outdoor atmosphere you've set us up with. This is Nicholas Cronauer. Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Yes, I'm very excited that we came to visit you here just because it's really nice out and I feel like we don't have this many days left of this beautiful weather. We're going to talk today about legal terms for non-lawyers because those of us who are non-lawyers don't really understand this stuff. And it matters, right?
It does.
Yeah, it matters for when we might find ourselves in a situation where these words are being pushed at us by somebody and we kind of should know what they mean.
Or as a juror.
Yes, absolutely, right? We should all do that. I'll have to tell you sometime how I cried my way out of jury duty. That's a story for a different time. But today, for anyone who doesn't know who you are, Nick, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Just Nicholas Cronauer, attorney, graduated 8 years ago. Do civil litigation primarily.
And you're here in Sycamore.
Correct, Sycamore, Illinois.
Awesome. And it's Cronauer Law. Are you the only lawyer in the practice?
We have, including me, 4 lawyers.
Okay.
And 4 or 5 support staff.
We have some specific words that you're going to explain for me here. We're going to start with civil law. So what does that mean?
Yeah, so that's important because people always see movies, right, or TV shows about lawyers. And generally, it's always criminal law, right? Well, there's actually another area of law. There's actually 2. There's criminal law, which is the highest burden of proof, right? There's family law, which kind of has a less higher burden of proof. Then there's civil law, which is what we primarily practice.
Okay.
And civil law basically deals with private people suing private people, businesses suing businesses. Tends to be a lot of people when they get hurt due to, obviously, automobile litigation. And so civil law is when a private person sues a private person for money damages. And the burden of proof there is slightly over 50%, whereas the criminal world, everyone thinks, is beyond a reasonable doubt, but that has no application whatsoever in civil.
Okay, so that makes sense. 3 choices. Criminal is
the highest.
Crime, obviously.
Correct, yep.
So this is when it's kind of like an argument between 2 people who are kind of like on the same level?
Yep.
Is that what that
Correct,
means?
yeah. So, I mean, criminal law is to punish, and civil law is generally you've done something to harm me, and I need to be made whole, and unfortunately, the only way the law allows people to be made whole is with money.
I only have to laugh because that's a really funny sentiment, but it's true.
It's true.
They say money can't buy you happiness, but sometimes it helps.
They say, buys a nice boat, right?
Yeah, right? Okay, so the next one is a longer term, comparative negligence.
Yeah, so that one's interesting because Illinois is a comparative negligence state, which means if you receive a verdict generally, say it's 100,000, million bucks, whatever it may be, the jury can award comparative negligence, which means the person suing, if they're at fault, you reduce that amount by whatever their fault is. So if they're 40% at fault, they're only getting 60% of that verdict, right? And it's kind of interesting because some states, like North Carolina, they have what's called pure contributor negligence fault, which means if the person suing is 1% at fault, they're barred from any recovery. So that's actually kind of a creature of statute that has changed that because it was so punitive that if a plaintiff had 1% fault, the defendant escaped 99% of the liability.
What about due process? This is one of those terms I've heard a million times. I can't tell you what it means.
Yes, you see this a lot. Basically, and it applies to governments, right? A lot of people get confused with what the government can do versus what a corporation can do. And as applied to government, because corporations are different, you have to have due process, which means government can't act capriciously, arbitrarily. They have to give you notice and a hearing if they try to take away some type of right or entitlement. Now, what considers a right or entitlement is a whole nother analysis we don't need to talk about today. I don't think we have enough time, but...
Okay, this next one, demurrer?
Yeah, so that is kind of archaic, doesn't really apply anymore, but the common usage of that's a motion to dismiss, which basically means I file a complaint, and someone comes to court and says, Judge, despite this complaint, even assuming it's true, the layman's terms is so what, doesn't matter. Basically throw the case out. Their allegations have no legal significance, but it sounds much cooler to say demur.
And that's not used that often anymore?
Motions to dismiss are, but at least in Illinois, they're not really called demurs. You can find old case law where they refer to motion to dismiss as demur, but I will say with time, they seem to kind of streamline the language so it's not as archaic.
Which is nice. For those of us that are not studying law, I assume if you're going into studying law, you're going to have to learn what all these things mean.
Correct.
And last but not least, so this one, we were talking before, I was like, I know what this means. It's mens rea. It's from Legally Blonde, but I really don't remember what it meant, but she talks about it.
So, which is a good starting point, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's actually more of a criminal law term. It could apply in civil law in fraud cases, but basically mens rea just means the mental state.
Okay.
So in any criminal case, you have to have the mental state to commit crime. And what that means, again, is a totally different analysis because you can be reckless, which is a mental state, but not intentional.
Okay.
And so all that means is you've got the mens rea, the mental state to commit that crime.
Oh, okay. But that's
Or
very
fraud.
important in cases, right?
Mainly criminal world, yes. Civil world if you're dealing with fraud, misrepresentation, but it's not really an element of the crime in the civil world.
Okay, well, I'm going to go watch Legally Blonde later to see if that makes sense in the movie. Hopefully they did the right job of researching it before millions of people watched it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
All right, if anyone wanted to get more information about you, where can we go?
Website's the easiest, Cronauerlaw.com. And then our phone number is 815-895-8585.
Legally Blonde is a great movie. Coming up next, we're getting ready for a fall shopping road trip with the Vintage Shop Hop. And then we're naming our next fan of the week. It might be you, but first, it's birthday time. We are sending a big happy birthday to Christine, Danica's mom, who celebrated her birthday yesterday. Then we have Amanda, who's celebrating on Wednesday, along with that little baby that is so cute and so new. And on Thursday, we're wishing Tam a happy birthday too. And then also this week, happy birthday on Friday to Linda Johnson, who is one of our favorite GDS fans. Send us your birthday shout outs at gooddaystateline@WTBO.com. We'll be right back.